all lit up again. And this is to be repeated over and over and over. And I stayed out of the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous on purpose because I'd seen it on the telly. That's the TV for you lot over here. Have you seen how poorly it's depicted on the TV? It's the most boring, depressing scene. It looks like a scene from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Everybody's in a circle in a smoky-filled, depressed room. One of them sober a week or so. They're all clapping, crying. Like, oh, my God, I never want to end up there. And then towards the end of me drinking, that's the only place anyone's telling me where to go. The doctors, the psychiatrists, friends and family that hadn't talked to me in over a year. You need to go to a 12-step program. And I'm thinking to myself, no. You don't understand. I'm already suicidally depressed. And then you want to tell me that A&A thing? That doesn't make any sense. Plus, I didn't think I was an alcoholic because I don't look like an alcoholic. I have such a preconceived notion of what it looks like to be an alcoholic. It can't be me. I've got a picture of the bum on the end of the off-ramp begging for change, you know, with a big, dirty, bushy beard, you know, not a cool one like yours, an horrible, dirty, bushy beard, the picture of a loser, that's an alcoholic. Couldn't be no one in here to me looks like an alcoholic. You're either too beautiful, you're too young, you're too well put together. Well, some of you over there look like you've had a good drink, I suppose. But you don't really look like an alcoholic. You're too glamorous. It's like, so it doesn't make any sense. So I stayed out of here for as long as was humanly possible. Alcoholics Anonymous was the last house on the block. And it seems to work a little bit better when that's the case. And I remember it vividly, like when I was, you know, ready to reach out, finally at death's door, ready to reach out. I was already over here in America, had made it to the mean streets of Santa Barbara. It was midnight. I was maudlin drunk in my crappy house with my idiot roommates, and they were downtown partying, having excluded me as usual, of course, because I'm a nightmare. And like quicksand stretched out all around me. I'd met my match. I'd been suicidally depressed for at least a couple of years. And so I made the phone call. I had to find the yellow pages. You young'uns will have to Google that, won't you? It took me, this is how drunk I was. I couldn't find the number for AA. It's like in the beginning of the book, you know. And so I called, and this lovely older lady answered the phone, and she was so good at her job. She would talk me off the ledge. And I got straight down to business. I told her, yes, I might drink too much, but so would you. If what's happened to me had happened to you. And I'm going to kill myself. I'm such a drama queen. I'm going to kill myself. And she'd insert a little nugget. And she was just wonderful. And finally she said, well, Darren, have you never been to a meeting? I'm like, no. She said, oh, wow, there's a meeting tomorrow night, not far from you at 8:00 at night. She made it sound so special. I didn't know there was 200 meetings a week in Santa Barbara. She just sold it to me. And so I passed out. I came to the next morning, shaking and baking. I remembered mid-morning, lunch. Oh, my God, I got to go to that bloody A&A thing. There was nowhere else for me to go. I'm going to kill myself. And I can't say I didn't have a drink. At this stage of my alcoholism, I'm physically dependent on vodka. Like if I'm going to leave me bedroom, let alone my house, I have to have a cheeky drink. You know what I mean? Especially if I'm doing something really weird, like interacting with other humans. And so, you know, I'd had a bit of a drink. I showered for the first time in months, and I gelled my hair all super sexy. And I went wandering down to this A&A meeting, and I got there, and it was a huge men's stag meeting. If I'd have known that, I wouldn't have bloody showered, you know what I mean? 80 men outside this meeting hall. There was nothing like I'd seen on the TV. There was a camaraderie about it. There was a vast amount of fun about it all. They were happy to see each other. It didn't make any sense to me. They didn't look like alcoholics. And you know, I'm not getting involved. I'm sat down. I don't want to catch anything from these happy folks. You know what I mean? Doesn't make sense to me. And then what happened next really caught my attention. Just underneath, the deadly earnestness kicked in. The secretary sat down. It was two huge circles for these 80 men. He sat down, shuffled his papers. Everybody knew it was time to get down to business. Everybody sat down, shut up, got off their phones, if you can believe that. And the meeting started, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And I thought, this is a good time for me to open my jacket pocket. I pull out a huge, tall bottle of vodka and start drinking in the meeting. And the guy next to me is like, holy crap. Is he drinking vodka in the meeting? And I'm looking around like, why is nobody else drinking? Isn't this Alcoholics Anonymous? Don't you have a drinking problem? I have a really bad drinking problem. I got quite the reputation back then. I stayed drunk in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous for a year in Santa Barbara for a year. I didn't know. I didn't know nothing about it, nothing about recovery steps. I just thought this is the place where all us miserable people meet for an hour to be miserable together and then go on out there and carry on creating mayhem or whatever. It took me 3 months to figure out what you cheeky monkeys were doing. You lot were putting your vodka into a water bottle and bringing it to the meeting. You could have told me. You know, I started off drinking in England when I was 13. You know, alcohol didn't do this to me. I was born in Manchester, England, not having a stroke or anything. And I drank from 13 to 33. 20 years of drinking. Now I'm over 20 years sober, which is kind of cool. 20 years of drinking. And I had a good time most of that time, up until my mid to later 20s. It was good to me. I had a good time. Some people don't like when you talk about having a good time. Some of the old members, they don't like it. I don't know why. It's like, don't worry, I am going to ruin my life and then want to kill myself. We're going to get there. But I had a good time until alcoholism crept into my bones. I was a small business owner with my brother, and age 26, 27-ish. Alcoholism, it doesn't come in the form of I'm waking up in the morning drinking neat vodka. Alcoholism is subtle and progressive. And it first came in the form for me in massive amounts of anxiety. Remember that? Oof. And it comes in the form of massive amounts of depression. And it comes in the form of this spiritual malady that's eating me alive from the inside out, where my soul's just becoming ever blacker, and soon it will be just ash. And I don't know what's going on. I used to be confident and outgoing, and now I'm just getting jittery and nervous, and it's not making sense. Now, that's during the day when I'm sober, trying to do my job. The monkey brain's going, everything's falling apart. And I don't know. Then I'd go out at night and alcohol will do its job and it will be great. No wonder it's cunning, baffling and powerful. You put a couple of stiff drinks in me, we're going to have a good time. I'm like a mixture between James Bond, Dave Chappelle and Harry Bloody Potter. We're going to have a good time. But then during the day, the excitement and what alcohol does to me will be translated into torture the next day. Things were so bad I couldn't do my job. You know, I'm driving a nice sports car. I've got Miss Manchester on my arm. The bankers watch with amused skepticism. I'm well so fat checks in and out of his account, but I can't get out of my car to go to a high-powered business meeting I'd set up the day before because I'm paralyzed with fear. I didn't know that was alcoholism. Makes no sense. Things got so bad I got fired from a business I created. Only we can pull something like that off. We had a boardroom meeting. My brother was another director. We had two best friends from university, us four directors. And he told me as he started the meeting, I wasn't paying attention like usual. He said, Darren, we've had a meeting before the meeting and we decided to let you go. I'm like, wait, what? Can you do that? What? And all my fears were playing out. And I knew he'd have it all stitched up. And I went from fear to anger in a nanosecond. And I went for him. I kicked over the chair and I went, to give him a flying headbutt. I believe in clear communication. It's just one of them awful scenes where I've been found out. The mask has slipped and I have to leave the car there. They're going to cut me a crappy check in a few weeks. The worst time to exit the business, financially speaking, even though on paper we're doing great. Couple of $1 million outstanding invoices, dozens of people working for us, a fleet of 60 vehicles, and that's it. I've been let go. And I remember it was a grey, horrible, rainy afternoon in Manchester, and it's the worst day of my life up to then, right? But here's some good alcoholic thinking. My life has just been ruined, and all I care about is, wait a minute, we can't have people talking poorly about me. I've got to change the narrative to what just happened. I got to get ahead of the story. I've got to tell everybody it was my idea, not their idea, to leave the business. That's how crazy we are. I'm dying of this illness that I don't understand, and all I care about is looking good. And so I went home, I got changed to go out because me and the boys were already meeting that night because it was the weekend. It was a Thursday. Was anyone else's weekend longer than their week? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, here's what alcohol does for us. I went to the bar. I got there before anybody else. I had a couple of stiff drinks, and it went, woof. The old fierce determination to win came right back. I've gone from here comes my mate Simon, here comes my mate Dave. I said, did you hear about that nonsense today? My brother's a wanker. I built this business up from my bedroom and they bought it. That's all I cared about. That's right, Darren. Yeah, you did. Yeah, everything I touched turns to gold. I'm going to do. By this time, I had another couple of stiff drinks. 15 of the boys are now in the pub. I've got an audience and I'm on my soapbox. Said, yeah, screw those. I don't need any one of them. I'll decide what I'm going to do next. And I said to them, oh, you know what I'm going to do, boys? When I was a student, I used to love traveling. I said, when I get my check, I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go traveling. In fact, I'm going to go to America and I'm going to become president of America or something. Well, apparently any wanker can become president over here, right? I think the problem is the terrible UK weather. I think the problem is my brother. He's a wanker. I think the problem is my girlfriend. She keeps leaving me for stupid little things like my cheating on her and stuff. But no, somebody put the problem on a flight at Manchester International Airport and flew me all the way to LAX. And here I am. I came to America for a 2-week holiday 25 years ago. I never made it back to England. I didn't know I was going to almost die of untreated alcoholism. I didn't know I was going to circle the drain of life. I'm coming here just to take the edge off because I've been found out. When I'm on holiday, I like to drink. So I drank for 2 weeks straight. Oh, my uncle, who I'd never met before, picks me up and drives me up the 101 to Santa Barbara. And he owns an English bar in downtown Santa Barbara. See, there is a God. I'm drunk for 2 weeks in his bar, and I realized the visa waiver I signed on the plane allows you to stay for 90 days. So I ended up staying for 90 days, drunk every single day. And it's not a problem for us to stay drunk. That ain't the problem. It's a problem for other people, of course. Like, spouses don't seem to like it. Bosses don't like it. Sometimes the authorities don't like it, but I can stay drunk or drunk and high or whatever. The real problem for any real alcoholic is facing life sober. That's the problem. And so after 90 days, a friend flies over from England and I buy an SUV and me and him travel the whole of America for 4 months straight. 12,000 miles, 32 states. It's the trip of a lifetime. You see everything a tourist would want to see. I'm drunk in every little town, city and state. But by the time we get back to Santa Barbara 4 months later, I have 7 outstanding warrants in 5 different states. That means we had a good time. Now, my friend who's normal flies back to England and I have no money, no income. And so I become a drunk bartender in my uncle's bar. I bartend for almost 2 years and I'm supposed to turn up sober. Do you remember trying to do your job, paralyzed with anxiety and depression and alcoholism? I'm so weirded out. I don't want to interact with other people. I can't do it. And so I bartend for almost 2 years, hanging on by a thread. Hanging on by a thread. Sometimes we go to work where I'm so ill, I'm so sick, most normal people would dial 911, right? But I'm getting out of my car, I can see the entrance to the pub. I'm like, oh my God, if I can just scurry off into the entrance without the sunlight shattering me into a million pieces, maybe I'll be okay. And that's how we live our lives, one miserable day at a time. I'm always getting my shifts covered because I don't feel like I want to work. I'm doing a lot of white goods so I can stay awake and a little bit more alert. We're all covering for each other. Almost 2 years with a sense of impending doom the whole time. Now I know why we have a sense of impending doom. It's because something bad is going to happen. The way we're living our life. How I never lost this man his bar, I'll never know. I was the drunkest person in the bar, and I'm the bartender. Remember, the locals would sometimes put me on a stool in the corner of the bar because I'm wasted and I'm watching out of one eye as they were serving each other, giving each other money and serving each other. Like, this ain't right, man. And that one morning, I wake up to 6 missed calls. I answer the 7th one. Get down here now. Oh, that sense of impending doom that had been coming this whole time was about to take place. And I go down to the bar. I'm crying. The gig is truly up. This was 10 times worse than losing my entrepreneurial position in England. I had a job where you're actually allowed to have a little cheeky drink. And I even screwed that up. I went into the bar. And I meant this with every fiber of my being, and I would have passed a lie detector test. I said, please don't let me go. Please, I'll never drink like that ever again. I'll never do that ever. Darren, you'll never work in this pub ever again. You almost cost me my marriage, let alone lose my bar. There's something wrong with you. You need to go back to England. You need to go to you need to do something, but you'll never work in here again. Oh, I went out and tied one on that night, I'll tell you. I got up the next day and went back down to the bar to see who took my shift. On my 3rd pint, I threw it over the bartender in front of everybody. How to ostracize yourself from the whole of the downtown bar scene in a nanosecond. Only we can pull something like that off. Darren, you get out of here right now. I never want to see your face again. I get barred from every pub in Santa Barbara over the next few weeks. And because I'm not a cute little drunk, you know what I mean? I am not a functioning alcoholic. I'm a vodka drinking maniac. And I haven't seen anyone for months. And a typical day for me, I would come to, and it would be pitch black outside. And I have no idea whether it's night or day. And I'd figure it out. Oh my God, it's 5 a.m., that darkest hour before the dawn. Now, I have strong, horrible, warm vodka under my bed at this stage of drinking because I'm going to need it at first daylight, but I so desperately don't want to drink. But I can only last 10 minutes of the mental and hellish torture, 10 minutes of the back and forth drink, don't drink. I've drunk so much hard alcohol and done some drugs that have ruined me wiring. There's no coming back from this. I've cracked my mind. And so after 10 minutes of torture, I'll grab that bottle. I'm drinking from tall bottles of vodka, and I always leave 4 fingers left in the bottom of it because it's like a science project. And what that will do, it won't make me Superman anymore or funny, but it will just about take the suicidal thoughts away from me. Just about. And I will swig that down, finish that vodka, and it's not even 6 a.m. And here's the problem. I've just fed the beast, and now the beast needs feeding. And I'd have to put on my smelly, baggy clothing to go 1 block to Foodland liquor store to steal my 2 big bottles of vodka. And I go clinking off home. And now, I want to pound the vodka and pass out because I want oblivion. That's what I want to do, but no. It's like a science project. It is immensely important that first bottle gets nursed into the later afternoon because the second bottle has to get me into the evening because I could never sleep. I could never sleep properly. And what I'm trying to do is get to 9, 10, maybe even 11 o'clock at night to for once catch a good enough sleep to wake up and not have to drink like that ever again. And it says the mind and body are marvelous mechanisms. I drank like that for 2 more years. 2 more years of jails, institutions, and death. And then I start to turn up at the rooms of Santa Barbara AA drunk, and you welcome me. And I kept coming back. Jails, institutions, and death. If I'm not drunk at home, I'm in hospital. If I'm not in hospital, I'm in the drunk tank. If I'm not there, I'm going to the lockdown psychiatric unit regularly. That was just normal for me. And it is over. There's no coming back from this at all. You know, death is next and death is welcomed. You can't scare us with death at this stage of drinking. It's like, bring it on, man. Bring it on. But alcoholism doesn't have the dignity to take us quickly. It'll mess with some of us. I've seen it. It will mess with some of us for years, sometimes decades. My fear is not dying an alcoholic death. My fear is living an alcoholic life, one miserable, miserable day at a time. Here's how I got sober. I came to one morning and there was no vodka under my bed. That had never happened to me before. And I took it as a sign. Okay, this is the day I'm going to kill myself. I was fine with that. No big drama. 3 months before, I tried to kill myself. 3 months before, I'm maudlin drunk. It's midnight. The roommates are partying downtown. And I remembered one of them has an arsenal of weapons in his bedroom. He's a maniac. So I break into his bedroom. There's an AK in the corner. There's a shotgun in the wardrobe. There's several handguns. Now, I'm English. I don't quite know what I'm doing with a gun. But I find a loaded revolver, go stumbling into the living room. I sit down on the couch. I put the gun in my mouth. It's cold. It's heavy on my teeth. And I'm thinking it through. Wait, do you blow the back of your head off or do you shoot up through the roof of your mouth? As I'm thinking it through, the thought came to me, hey, Darren, it's midnight. If you pull the trigger right now, you'll definitely wake the neighbors up. You know what I mean? I'm too polite for that shit. You know what I mean? So I just finished the job. But today I'm going to kill myself and I stay in my room for a couple of hours till about 10 a.m. I decide to throw myself off Santa Barbara's biggest bridge, Cold Springs Bridge, popular suicide spot in my area. And so I go outside and my car's there, thank God. Does anyone see that movie, Dude, Where's My Car? I was always losing my car. I get in the car, drive 25 minutes up the 154. I park the car. I walk to the center of the bridge and I'm just going to walk off. But I pause because I know it's going to kill me mum. And in that pause, grace came in the form of a man in Alcoholics Anonymous who told me the truth and called me out. Because I used to share sometimes inappropriately, you know, this is BS. It doesn't work. I'm going to kill myself. He pulls me off the side. I said, Darren, what are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? You might well kill yourself. You won't be the first and you won't be the last. But you can't say AA doesn't work. You haven't done nothing around here. And I got mad with him because he's telling me the truth. I said, I've been coming here for a year, old man. He said, well, Darren, first of all, you should come sober. It works better. Okay. He said, and a drunk like you need to get a sponsor. You need to work the 12 steps, blah, blah, blah. And he called me out on my 2 biggest secrets. Some of you might have the same tonight. 2 biggest secrets. One was I didn't have a sponsor. And if I did, it was in name only, which is the same BS, right? And the other one is I wasn't working any steps. And you lot were talking about the steps all the time. And so I made a decision on that bridge to come back to AA and do the stupid 12 steps. And when they don't work, I'm going to find that man and take him off the bridge with me, right? Now, I can't just come skipping into AA because I once again need to be medically detoxed and I need to go back to the lockdown psychiatric unit. I drive back down the mountain road, back to Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital, emergency room, and I park in my usual spot. I'd been there 4 times already that year. And I sideswiped the car next to me and I have an accident in the parking, like in the car park. I can't believe it. So the cops are around the corner. They come over. There's a lot of damage, a lot of noise. I get out of the car, said, I'm so sorry. That was my fault. I've got my ID. That's my car. Cop goes behind me, cop's in front of me. And he comes up and smells me as he's about to say something. He's like, whoa, have you been drinking? I'm like, that's a weird first question. I said, no, why? Have you? They don't like that approach. He makes me do 25 minutes of field sobriety tests. I do them all perfectly. He's so mad, he makes me do another 15 minutes. Then he makes me blow into his breathalyzer and I blow 0.32. And I haven't even had a drink yet. I'm waking up at a 0.32, then I'm drinking my 2 big bottles of vodka. These cops just literally cannot believe it. They cannot believe it. And then I see him get the handcuffs out and I start to panic. And I said, what are you doing? He said, turn around, you're going to jail. And I start to use the magic language of Alcoholics Anonymous and I start to tell the truth. And I tell him everything I've already told you, what I'm doing, what I'm not doing. Please let me into the psychiatric unit, sir. They love me in there. They got a file on me and everything. You know, and the magic starts to happen. Once I tell the truth, use AA, the magic starts to happen, even if I don't realize it at the time. And of course, they arrest me, but they don't take me to jail. They take me to the local police station, which felt so much safer for me, so that I could get arrested, fingerprinted, and then they allow somebody to come and pick me up to take me back to the lockdown psychiatric unit one more time. But so what? What's going to be different? I've gotten drunk twice on the way home from there. What's going to be different? The difference is this time I've hit bottom. And hitting bottom, for me, gets misrepresented in the rooms of AA a lot. Hitting bottom isn't your worst outside story or outside circumstance. Rarely is our worst drunk our last drunk. It's usually a crappy little drink. And this is what my definition of hitting bottom is. Hitting bottom is when you ask somebody for help and follow through with all the directions. That's it. And so I'm going to prove it. But first I go back to the lockdown psychiatric unit, which I used to love because I'm going to get as many meds as is humanly possible, stay in there for another 2 weeks, detoxing. And they popped me out sober on a Wednesday afternoon. And I did not take a drink, which is an absolute miracle. I waited all day to go to my 8 o'clock men's meeting called the Junkyard Dogs. This is a powerful, powerful meeting. 80 men are outside this meeting hall. Dozens of them were properly armed with the facts about the illness. And I went straight up to what the first serious guy I saw. I said, hey, Mike, I just got out. I am going to drink tonight, Mike. You know it. I know it. What do I need to do? And he looked at me and said, wow, Darren, are you sober right now? I said, yeah, he barely seen me sober that whole year. He said, oh my God, normally we do some reading. We might do up to page 60 in the ABCs. He said, I've seen you, man. He said, let's just get into action. He said, let's do a 3rd step prayer right now. I don't pray. I definitely don't pray on my knees with another man. I don't believe in God and I hate religion. I said, what do you mean, Mike, in front of these 80 men? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay. I said, okay, because the no had been beaten out of me. Darren wasn't too cool for school anymore. I was about to conform to the process. We had a 3rd step prayer in front of everybody. I went into that meeting. It was an amazing meeting, except a guy had a grand mal alcoholic seizure in that meeting. It was disgusting, horrible. I feel bad for the man, but it's horribly disgusting. I've had many grand mal seizures. I've just never seen one. You know what I mean? I went home from that meeting and I wrote 100 names on my resentment inventory that night. 100. I double checked with my sponsor before I left. I said, wait a minute. You want me to write down every mofo that's ever done me wrong? Give me a pen. 100 names. I passed out. I came to at 5 a.m. and I wrote 100 more names. It wasn't even 6 a.m. and I was going to drink. I always drink. I called this man. He answered the phone. He gave me my next column and he saved my life. I called him 12 times that day to finish all 3 inventories. I went to his house the next day and we did my 5th step. Took us 3.5 hours. He's sending me home for my hour of review and he got emotional and gave me a big hug, said, Darren, this is amazing. I said, I'm glad you feel good, Mike. I feel like crap, dude. He said, oh, don't worry. Trust in the process. The next day, I went to his house and we did step 6 and 7. I didn't understand step 6 and 7. Nobody understands step 6 and 7. Don't worry about it. I had a lot of willingness. I had a lot of humility. I was desperate to move on, and we did. I went to his house the next day. We did my 8th step. My 8th step was easy. I already had my list. I just had to annoyingly transfer it onto a new list. And then I added to my list. On my 5th and 6th and 7th day of sobriety, I went out around Santa Barbara and made 21 amends all over town. And I was rocketed into a 4th dimension. I was lit up like a Christmas tree. My little English heart filled up so much I thought it was going to burst. Everything made sense. Everything made sense. This is why Lisa and Debbie and the gang, this is why they're all so into Alcoholics Anonymous, must get this full heart effect. No wonder they want to be of service. This is why you sponsor people. It must fill your heart. Oh, wait a minute. This is why Mum went to church every Sunday. Boring for me, but it must have filled her little heart. And then I had an epiphany. Wait a minute. This is what you're calling God. And I understood because I saw it and I felt it and I believed it. I felt so good. I got up the next day and went to Foodland liquor store next to me where I used to steal all my vodka from. I said, sir, I got to tell you, I've been a really bad drunk for a very long time. And I've been stealing vodka from your store for well over a year. I said, I'll never, ever steal from you or anyone else ever again. I'm trying to live my life differently. I said, I've added it up and it comes to $2,750. I said, it's Friday. I just started work 2 days ago for the first time in years. And I looked in my pocket and I had $25 on me. I said, sir, there's $25. I'll be back every Friday with $25 until I've paid that whole amount off and any interest you determine. I said, is there anything else I can do to make this right? And he just looked at me and he said, wow. And I looked back at him and I said, wow. And I've floated off to make some more financial amends. I couldn't believe how good it felt to give you your money back. I said to my sponsor, what's next? He said, oh my God, Darren, this is amazing. He said, steps 10 and 11. I said, 10 and 11, what's that? He said, yeah, I'll show you step 10. What to do right here, right now, to postpone the punishment of alcoholism. Then I'll show you what to do on 11. I'll show you what to do in the morning and what to do at night. We're going to add a 2-minute meditation routine in the morning and 2 minutes to review your day at night. And he could see my wheels are spinning. He already knew I was a recovered alcoholic, even if I didn't. He said, yes, Darren, if you do all these things and what I'm going to show you next, you can stay sober 1 day at a time for the rest of your life. And I couldn't believe it. From suicidally depressed for 2+ years to being joyous and grateful with a full heart. I said, you what? I said, I am in. I am in. I am sold on the plan outlined in this book. 2 minutes to meditate. Listen, I don't like meditation just like you don't. I'm just glad he gave me the full strength solution. I'm glad he gave me what I now call the guaranteed version of sobriety. Guaranteed. Now, meditation, I'm the worst drunk I've ever met. I can't leave anything out. I can't leave a 5th step out because I have ADHD, can I? No. I can't leave out a 9th step because I don't have the time to do it. No. So don't know when it became okay to bypass the meditation routine. I'm in a lockdown psychiatry unit, kid. I can't meditate. He showed me a simple meditation routine. And this is how bad I am at it. It's taken me 21 years to go from 2 minutes meditation to 10 minutes meditation. 21 years. But God loves him a little trier. God loves him a little bloody trial, let me tell you. My God is cool. My God is up there. He's got a right potty mouth on him as well. I told Lisa I'm not going to swear and I'm not, but he's got a potty mouth on him. He's cool, my God. He's up there looking down at me in the mornings in my bedroom, doing me crappy little meditation routine. He's up there laughing his bearded head off. He is. He's all, look at that little wanker down there. Look at that little English wanker doing his crappy prayer meditation. But then he sees me trying and he goes, oh, you know what? He says, you know what? Give that little wanker another day of sobriety. He doesn't care that I'm a potty mouth man from Manchester. He cares about my actions and he cares about my helping others, which I do relentlessly. Relentlessly. Steps 10 and 11, they're like the keys to the kingdom. Steps 10 and 11 are so simple, you won't do it. Isn't that the truth? What is wrong with us? Only an alcoholic will burn his life to the ground to then come running to a 12-step program just to resist the 12 steps. What is wrong with us? But I am in. And this is for fun and for free. And this is the greatest show on earth. If you haven't been through the 12 steps, I urge you to do so. That's the whole point. If you've been through the 12 steps and you're plateauing, and you're flattening out, or you're not quite feeling it, I urge you to try and sponsor others. You just got to try. You'll still get the relief. If you go up to the newcomers, you're kind and polite. You're not saying, could I be your sponsor? It's like, you're being kind to them. I always remember those that were kind to me. If you can't sponsor, do some H&I. But I need the full, I was the full alcoholic. I need the full effect, you know. Now, some of us are sicker than others. I have just a chronic case of alcoholism. It doesn't mean I drank more than you. It just means that I'm thinking about me all the time. I'm either thinking about me or I'm thinking about what you're thinking about me. And I come to most mornings and wake up with a negative narrative trying to be formed. Or I'm in the shower and it's just like, what did she say yesterday? Or it comes in the form of, I know what you meant. And she's all, I just said good morning. Yeah, but I know what you meant. You know what I mean? I'm 21 years sober, nearly 22 years sober, and I still have alcoholism. Alcoholism is a highly chronic, fatal, progressive illness, sometimes accompanied by alcohol. I have to wake up and take care of my spiritual business every day. And I don't mind having to work for my sobriety. Is it a bit of work? Yes, a little bit of work. But it's nothing like coming to at 5 a.m., having to go and steal 2 bottles of vodka. That, my friend, living like we live, that is hard work. If you're new or not so new and you're struggling with the God thing still, I'll leave you with this. Religion might be for those people that are trying to avoid going to hell. But spirituality is for people that have been to hell. Thank you all very much.